And do you think you will work afterwards in this firm?
Masuk ke bagian pemasaran.
Did you ask them?
Yes, and that's why I will leave this afternoon.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hoe ben jij je vader? Ya?
Semua nengok cerita semua tuh. Orang kena ini.
So you're doing your internship where? Amsterdam, very close, very nearby. And what do you do over there?
Job dua tempat. Yang pertama aja lagi job heboh.
I think you have to speak louder. Okay. So,
my project is to build a prototype for healthcare.
Nanti dia emosi kita dua lagi direkam dulu malah kalah ya.
Okay.
Bisa edit mati dulu.
So this is your place to stay.
Diupload di YouTube.
You also have the job.
Oh, I kind of have offer.
So you already have offer.
Yeah.
And how did you
Sibuk admin kok nggak foto ke depan?
I put my CV in one support and this company saw my CV and invited me for an interview.
Interesting. Then you got an offer. You could resist it.
I could, but the offer was actually pretty nice and they wanted to return me, so there's no reason to reject it.
And it will be in what type of work? What type of firm?
It's an IT company, actually, but they work in giving financial advice, especially in insurance.
Insurance. So your internship was helpful for this? So you learned a lot? And if you look at the small booklet about friction. How do you have still some ideas about
Cultural exchange. Apa?
But what about living in the Netherlands?
Friction. Friction.
You can have a nice living here.
Friction sini nggak pakai friction. Sini sama.
So I think you are quite successful. So you came to the Netherlands, you did the internship, learned a lot, like the Dutch, or at least you now you have the job. Okay, so I think this was a very good look back and a very good. Okay, thank you.
Yes, I have some questions. I'm very curious about, well, you had your previous education in ITB. You learned a lot over there, I suppose. Now you are studying at least 6 months in the Netherlands. Comparing what you learned in Indonesia and what you learn here, is that extra added value always more or less the same? And is the knowledge you gain relevant for the internship you are doing at the moment? And maybe for your previous job?
The difference between the education I have here in Indonesia is the proportion of theoretical and practical course. Because in Indonesia, we learn a lot about theoretical and concept, while here we learn a lot about the practical things. So the combination of those two are actually completing each other. So that's very helpful to find job here because we don't only know about the how to make things, but we know actually how that things work because we know both the concept and also the practical. I think that's what I.
So in the Netherlands, the theoretical approach is weak compared with Indonesia.
I understand that because the focus is different.
In what way different?
The portions are different.
Yeah.
I think.
It is also related to the program that we organize for our exchange students, assuming before you can come here, that your theoretical background is okay. But we are almost dead sure that your practical hands-on experience are much less compared to Dutch students. So the program that they have been following is focused on letting them get as much hands-on experience and prove, by the way, that they have hands-on, that they are able to have hands-on experience. Because we want to make sure that once we give the diploma, that Bachelor of Engineering, you at least have the practical experience that everything that's required. So I'm pleased to hear this is complementary, right? Extremely pleased to hear that Eunice, all by herself, has been able to find an excellent job, and I know because she sent me the job offer a week ago or so, and we said we would discuss this today in a one-on-one meeting perhaps, but you have already said yourself that your offer was very attractive, and I agree. So which means a lot if I agree. And there are a few things that might raise questions that I can perhaps explain to you today later on, or else you can.
Also, how do you call it? Other foreign people, or other people who will not speak Dutch. Just two.
Me and others Indonesian.
Okay, but so you have a nice experience in a firm where most of the people are Dutch.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking, for example, Witteveen would be international firm. So you have Dutch-speaking people and English-speaking people and English-speaking people. But in this firm, you feel totally Dutch.
And the other girl is also married to Dutch. I mean, that's me then.
So now, I think, but then you have to look for the future. One girl was married to a Dutchman, and you said, just not me. So if you look in the future, but I think we will not. Because that's your private space. But I think I told it once that in the Netherlands we have 70 million people, but more than 1 million people has more or less a relation with Indonesia. Because they have been there, they have family. And I think if they have been there, they, how shall I put it, they have positive feelings about Indonesia. Most have positive feelings. I think many people have neighbors or family members in the first or second or third degree. So many people indeed are familiar with Indonesia. And I think you are, if you see the Netherlands, other people, Indonesia is much closer to the Dutch than, for example, I think even English people. So to England is just 150 kilometers, but to Indonesia 6,000. But I think in the mind of most Dutch, and I think also in the heart, Indonesia is much closer than for example, England. Do you recognize this one?
Yes.
Okay, so you did your internship, you were very happy with the social. What about the professional element?
It's also nice.
Also nice. You're also working in applied sciences?
Yeah. And I feel that they treat me like their real employer. I mean, in Indonesia, when you have an internship, you will just follow on what other people are doing without a really responsible. You will not have a really responsibility.
And now they give you responsibility, now you feel responsibility.
Yes, they invite me to a meeting where everything is Dutch. So I just like, okay, what are you talking about? But then they said that you should come. Why? I don't know what you speak. Because when you come, then you learn. Learn what? I learn nothing. Just come. That's the point. So they really want me to learn.
Well, I think they have a very strong sense of inclusion.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you like it?
Yeah, I like it a lot.
And what about
Job seeking here for foreign graduates. And is just mentioning what is going on. A new policy came. Foreign students completing Dutch